Honorable members, there is no lunch break today. The debate will continue. Professor Shogata Roy.
Thank you, Madam. Madam, we started with a very serious speech on the budget by Mr. Virappa Moili. After his serious budget, there was need for comic relief, and I am thankful to Mr. Hukumdev Narayan Jadhav for the comic relief. ये जरूरी है.
Hukumdev Babu became an MLA in 1967. He is an MP for so many times. He is a senior leader of the country. And if you are asking about the poor, to say comic relief is not fair from you. Not fair. Not fair. आपसे ये उम्मीद नहीं है. नहीं ये नहीं. आप इसको भी ड्रॉ करिए. नहीं, मैं आपसे आग्रह करूंगा. आप बहुत सीनियर हैं. कॉमिक रिलीफ, मैडम हुकुमदेव बाबू ऐसे वरिष्ठ आदमी के बारे में बोलना ये ठीक नहीं. ये ठीक नहीं.
Madam, comic relief is neither a derogatory term nor an unparliamentary term. I do not know why Ravi Shankar Prasad ji is objecting to it. I remember Mr. Hukumdev Narayan Jadhav in this parliament in 1977. When I was there, he was a... Please listen to me. Ravi Shankar Prasad ji उस समय पटना में वकालत करते थे. मैं यहाँ पर थे.
आज भी नहीं करते थे. इतने वो सीनियर है. हाँ
सर. मैडम 77 में हुकुमदेव बाबू पूरा सोशलिस्ट था. पक्का सोशलिस्ट. आज मनुवादी बन गए हैं. ये फर्क शायद 5 साल बाद उनको इस तरफ भी हम देखेंगे. तो मैडम ठीक है. Madam, I rise to speak on the budget. Today is the 3 months completion of demonetization. I take this opportunity to offer my condolences to the families of more than 150 people who died on the queues due to demonetization. This House has not adopted a condolence resolution, but I propose that a condolence should be made for them. In Bengal, one man died in Kachrapada on the line. He had a heart attack while standing in the queue. Before anybody could take him to hospital, he died. But I am not on demonetization. For the last 2 days, we have spoken enough on demonetization. Jaitley ji is said to have presented a non-controversial budget. Many media has said that it's a workman-like budget. I do not disagree. Because the finance minister has not rocked any boat. He has gone on a conservative path, and so there is no hype and hoopla over his budget. It's conservative, I agree. Now, why is the budget conservative? There's an opportunity for him to take new paths in reform. Why he did not take that? Let me put it this way, ma'am, that the expectation or the speculation of the government was that they will have a windfall of 4 to 5 lakh crores due to demonetization. 15.5 lakh crores were demonetized. They expected that only 10 lakh crores should be deposited. So 5 lakh crores will be the Reserve Bank. They will pass it on to the government, and that's why the government floated this idea of universal basic income through the economic survey. The government has not been able to do any such thing because there is no money in the kitty. Actually, as much as 15 lakh crores must have been deposited in the banks, which is why the government is not coming forward to speak on the budget. Now, madam, speaking on the budget, the total expenditure is pegged at 21.46 lakh crores, which is only increased by 6.6%. Normally a budget should increase by 10%. Out of that, 16 lakh crores is the government's revenue income, which leaves a gap of 5.5 lakh crores. This will be borrowing. So the government will borrow this much amount to fund their projects. Tax revenue will be up, but non-tax revenue, which last year was due to sale of spectrum, will be down by as much as 13.7%. Capital receipt is expected on the ground of disinvestment, but it is doubtful if the government's target of the disinvestment will be filled, because up to December only 23,000 crores have been found due to disinvestment. So the government will not be able to meet its target of disinvestment. Now the government has, out of this 21 lakh crores expenditure, government has December तक केवल 23,000 करोड़ का disinvestment हुआ. You will not be able to reach your target. You are supporting me. Sir, railways, which he took over forcibly, has a budget of 1,31,000 crores. Poor the railway minister, he could not even protest. But after the finance minister took over the job of the railway minister, two major accidents have taken place. One in Kanpur Dehat, 146 people died, and another in Hirakhand Express, where 36 people died. So railway safety, he has promised 1 lakh crores, is in very bad shape. Madam, the defense expenditure is pegged at 2,74,000 crores, which is only 26% of China's military budget. We want to become a big nation, strong nation, but when spending is concerned, we are only spending 26% of China's military budget. China has got the newest missile with multi-polar missile. Together they will, one warhead will carry 10 missiles, and we are far behind China. Now, madam, the main problem in this budget, why the government could not spend more money, is that there is no money in the kitty. Main problem is, I mentioned that due to failure of demonetization, there will be no financial bonanza for the government. Number two, the major constraint on populism was surely GST, because the center has now signed a blank check to reimburse states for not only revenue losses, but also guaranteed a 14% growth annually. That means with the drop in tax revenue, compensation figures for GST, the center will have to compensate the state, will swell to 90,000 crores. So while the government may have wanted to offer poll shops, its kitty or its pocket is empty. It will have to compensate the states. It has not got the money from demonetization that it expected. Now what will this lead to, madam? This will lead to severe joblessness. One, madam, I'll bring some figures to you, that this was a budget where government could have taken a big step towards jobs. Now, how would that be done? 1 million people are entering the job market every month, and in 2015, of which figures are available, only 1,35,000 jobs were created. Now, to create jobs, what is the policy that should have been taken? There should have been relief in corporate tax. There should be some method to encourage big companies, but now that has not been done. So there is no investment by the private sector in the Indian economy. Where will the jobs come from becomes the big question. Now, they have said that for job market, youth should be skilled. They put a target, Skill India Mission, 400 million Indians employable in 7 years. Now, of this, only 1.76 billion have been skilled. Out of 400 million target, 1.76 million have entered the skill training course, and of them only 5,80,000 have completed their course. So there is a serious shortfall in skilled Indians, and unemployment will grow in the absence of private sector investment. This will be a major problem which the government has not really attended to. Now let us see, madam, how much the government is spending. What about the other point, madam, I want to mention is that the government has rejected the option to boost aggregate demand, to cut indirect taxes, especially excise duty and service tax, which affects everybody. This would have given relief to crores of people. Government has rejected this option, and the government will pay a heavy price in terms of poor demand, lower sales, fewer jobs, and closures of micro, small and medium enterprises. Also, madam, the gross fixed capital formation, meaning net investment, has constantly shrunk under the Modi government and was minus 0.2% in 2016-17. There is absolutely nothing in the budget in terms of either new strategy or policy measures to revive private investment. The other thing that is to be noticed in this budget is there is no talk of real concern to farmers. Hukumdev Narayanji was making big speech. The budget even does not mention minimum support price to farmers, which is absolutely essential, which is बजट पे कहाँ है? बजट पे कहाँ है?
बोलने दीजिए।
तो आप बैठ जाइए।
अरे आप तो फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर नहीं है, पूछिए ना।
तो मिनिमम सपोर्ट प्राइस at the time of acute agrarian distress is not there. So the government is not being able to provide relief to the farmers at this crucial time. The demonetization has affected farmers, farm workers, manual laborers, self-employed artisans and micro, small and medium business persons. They lost crores of rupees in the form of wages, incomes and capital. There is absolutely nothing for these sections. Yes, there is a little. Mr. Jaitley had the difficult task of doing damage control on behalf of his Prime Minister, because many sections of the people were affected by demonetization. Many sections were angry. So he has given three SOPs to these sections. One is towards the middle class. For income between 2.5 lakhs to 5 lakhs, income tax has been reduced from 10% to 5%. One SOP. Two, the MSMEs I mentioned earlier have been affected badly. So one SOP that for them of up to turnover up to 50 crores, the tax has been reduced to 25%, the corporate tax. And three, they have kept up the Mahatma Gandhi National NREGA. They have kept it at 48,000. Though it is very small increase, last year it was 47,499, it has been increased by only 1.1%. the need was to increase NREG by at least 10 to 15% because many people who have lost their jobs are coming back to the villages. Madam, the Hukumdev ji was talking of rural development. May I mention that in Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, last year revised estimate was 19,000, this year also it is 19,000, 0% increase. May I mention that the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, the last year was 13,240, this year it is 9,000 crores, which means a reduction of minus 32%. They are talking of the villages, and this is what is happening to the villages. And again, as far as the cities are concerned, they announced a smart city program with much fanfare. Now, for the smart city mission, the estimate has been lowered from 4,676 crores, revised estimate last year, to 4,000 crores this year. So where is the focus? Where is the thrust of development in urban and rural areas? This is a question I would put to the Honorable Minister. Now, as far as the direct taxes are concerned, I mentioned earlier that two SOPs have been given. One to the salaried class, another to the MSMEs. There has been no major cuts in excise. I have no objection to this because you have to keep the tax net big. He has given a lot of logic that in India is an undertaxed country. Our gross tax income to GDP is low. Actually, he was planning to increase taxes, but faced with the anger of the middle classes, the finance minister has not increased the taxes. Now, the finance minister has tried to be path-breaking. He is saying that he wants a new law on funding of political parties. Instead of 20,000 crores as individual donations, only 2,000 crores they can donate.
Rupees.
2,000 rupees. Thank you, ma'am. They can donate. Now, what's the problem? Instead of printing one receipt, you'll print 10 receipts. How does that contain back money? They're saying that you can buy election bonds. If you give your name to the bank, and then you can buy election bonds. That's why RBI Act will be amended. Now, who will want to go to a bank, write his name, buy an electoral bond? Because the government can always access the bank. Who are the people who have bought election bonds from you? This is not the way. Our party even yesterday demanded that there should be state funding of elections. Instead of, if you had a bonanza, you should have state funding of election. Let the government finance the major expenditure of the successful candidates, as it happens in Germany and many other countries in the West. They have not talked about such election reforms. Madam, some time hai?
Professor Raj, how much time will it take?
No, madam, actually our party has got how much time? 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
But everybody
You have already spoken?
No, I'll cut down my speech. I can speak 1 hour. But madam, after me, Mr. Kollan Banerjee will speak. So I want to leave sufficient time. How long have I spoken?
10 minutes. Only 10 minutes. 20 minutes.
20 minutes I have spoken, so I am slowly winding up. Madam, this... No, Kollan ke chat. No, madam, so I have told you... Madam, I have already told you that this budget is a conservative budget. No new, madam, this budget is a conservative budget. Just as there has been no new taxation, there has not been any major rebate in taxes, which will help to create employment. I have mentioned that demonetization has failed to provide the financial bonanza to the government. Demonetization has harmed the economy. Now it is said, even in the economic survey produced by the Government of India, they have said to three things. Demonetization will have three problems. One is the shocks of demonetization. Shocks. One is aggregate demand shock. Demand will fall. Aggregate supply shock. Production would fall. And aggregate uncertainty shock. People will be very wary of investing new money. Now this is not all. The country faces a grave crisis in the sense that oil prices may rise this year. So this year subsidy has been lowered for petroleum. It may suddenly shoot up. One. Number two, trade tension because of the new protectionist policy of United States may reduce global growth, and that will affect India also. This budget does not provide any vision. The economic survey of the Government of India, they said that we need a vision. Arvind Subramaniam is a truthful man, and he mentioned this, with which I'll end. He said, a new economic vision is needed. If that vision is not to be found, India will waste the second half of its youth bulge the way it wasted the first. The demographic dividend with the youth bulge is already lost, and it will have peaked by 2020. So this budget does not give us a bright picture of the economy. It's just a conservative budget in which the minister has tried to hold the baby for the Prime Minister and done damage control. He was not able to take any major decision. That's why I cannot support the budget.
My children are
Our children.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Dr. Dr. Prabhash Kumar Singh.
Thank you, Madam. I may please be allowed to speak from this seat. I rise to speak on the general budget on behalf of my party, Biju Janata Dal. And I want to give some brief highlights. Three major changes in the budget this year we found: early presentation, no plan, non-plan differences, and merger of railway with general budget. Madam, this is the first time budget the government is presenting after crossing the halfway mark. We are expecting a big bank budget targeted at the people affected by the recent November shock. But instead, we got the last year budget heavily dependent on welfare schemes. My Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik described it as a mixed bag, and that it falls short on many expectations. An assessment done by the government of Odisha on the impact of demonetization last month found that between October 2016 and December 2016, the tax collection like sales tax, excise and entry tax come down by around 11%. This move by the central government has hit our state hard. Though the scheme-related transfer to the states have been proposed to increase at a rate of 5.5%, in real terms, there is no increase at all. Allocation for schemes relating to rural roads, rural drinking water, education, midday meal program, and urban development are stagnant. initiative relating to job creation for the youth was an area of serious concern where adequate focus is not given. Similarly, the non-tax revenue such as mining royalty came down by over 40% during the same period. More than 70% of Odisha's farmers are serviced through cooperative banks. About 40 lakhs farm families are covered under Kisan Credit Card. Dislocation in full-fledged functioning of these banks is severely affecting the farmers by barring cooperative banks from participating in the demonetization scheme. This government has worsened our rural farmers. Even now, cooperative society banks have been barred from accepting funds under the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan scheme. The government needs to elaborate how it intends to treat cooperative banks in the future. Madam, there are no banks in most of the Gram Panchayats of Odisha. And out of total 6,234 Gram Panchayats, only we have 4,596 did not have any banks till 2014. Against the target of opening against the target of opening 2,045 branches, we have only 196 branches have been opened so far. Opening of new branches needs to be expected at the earliest. My CM also expresses unhappiness that there was no growth at all in the allocation of special assistance, central assistance to states for scheduled caste welfare scheme, as well as social security pensions under the National Social Assistance Program. I request the government to look into the increase of allocations. Odisha has been allocated, so far the railway is concerned, Odisha has been allocated with 5,102 crores for development of railway infrastructure in the Union budget. Our demand was about 5,870 crores. The allocation made for the year 2017-18 is 9% more than the previous years. Allocation of 4,682 crores. This is a welcome.
Dr. Singh, you continue.
This is a welcome steps, and
All these are not going to the record, except Dr. Singh.
and so far the railway infrastructure concerned.
Dr. Singh, आप बोलिए ना.
So far the railway infrastructure and the railway concern, lot of initiatives been taken, but I want to know there are certain projects which comes under very profitable, like the Bargarh-Noapada railway line, and government has made 3 times survey, and the ROR is 18%. I am surprised why funds are not given to such funds. Again, there is a long demand for the creation of new railway division at Jharsuguda. Jharsuguda alone giving 6,000 crores of rupees to East Coast Railway out of 15,000. And it comes under 3 divisions. One is Sambalpur, Kharagpur and Chakratharpur. And we have all infrastructures. A new airport is coming up by 2017. A number of industries, educational institutions, IIMs, and a lot of demands from the people of that area. So there is every possibility and scope for the creation of a new railway division at Jharsuguda. And also, our state government has agreed for making a new ROB at Jagannath Nagar, Barpali in Bargarh district. And the estimated amount is fixed both by the central government, railway department and state government, about 2,200 crores. And I don't know why this doesn't find in this budget. So I request Honorable Railway Minister, he has done a lot of things for railway security, railway measures for passenger amenities, and the bioreactors, etc. But also, we should look at the things where the ROV is required, where, because it also it depends upon the safety and security of the people. And again, regarding the farmers, Honorable Finance Minister has given a lot of incentives for doubling the production within 5 years. Har Khet ke Pani, Fasal Bima Yojana, soil health cards. Professor Shogat ji just was telling about the MSP. What was the MSP of the paddy? During the last parliament election, Honorable Prime Minister has delivered in his speech that we will come to power, we will implement the Samanthan Committee report. Our Chief Samin Patnaik has written so many times to our central government to increase the paddy per quintal to 2,500. Only, I think, it is about the paddy of rice is 1,460. So, only we increase the production will not cater to the needs of the farmers. Number of reports we're getting from different media. The farmers are committing suicides. And if we address the plight of the farmers, we have to increase the minimum support price of different crops, vegetables, paddy, wheat, and other production. And after this demonetization, there is drastic drop on the tune by 80 to 85% in price of vegetables like tomato and onions, as is observed during the winter 2016. A bumper supply due to favorable monsoon, but a major drop in demand for these vegetables, primarily due to demonetization, caused an imbalance and resulted in a drop in the prices. The vegetable markets will take time to recover from the shock. Does the government have any contingency plan to compensate the losses that farmers have suffered in the past few months? So this is a very important thing that we have to think for the farmers. So they are suffering a lot. Just by increasing production, their product will not be addressed. And very important for the state is what we are planning for our old share of central sales tax, CST, with goods and service tax rolling ahead. Odisha pending dues of CST share must not be forgotten. I hope a solid commitment will be made on which dates what amount of our pending dues will be given back to us. And regarding, sir, these non-farming assets have doubled last year. In February 2016, our banks declared that 4 lakh crore on the total loans are not recoverable. They are non-farming assets. This was also confirmed in an answer given in the response to questions raised in the Parliament during 16. According to Economic Survey reports, 2017, 71% of the loan defaults are by top 50 Indian companies. Any further write-downs of big loans will compel our banks to face a huge cash crunch. This year's Economic Survey reports also confirm that NPA have doubled since the last year. So this is a very serious concern. We have to also look into these things. New lending has practically stopped. There are too many bad old loans to take care of, because in farming sectors, a lot of loans are to be recovered. So I think if we can give some loan moving to the farmers, it will be a big help to the farmers. And we have seen the highest unemployment during the last 5 years. On 6th February 2016, Minister of State for Planning, Rao Inderjit Singh ji, in his reply to a question in Rajya Sabha said that the overall employment is rising. So, he said the unemployment rate is 5% generally. That is the 2% increase in 2 years, and it is the highest in 5 years. These figures only show the state our economy is in. And so far as manufacturing is concerned, the economic survey of this year reveals that the manufacturing industry is experiencing an all-time low with no money nor any loans available from banks. In November itself, the Nikkei Market India Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index, a gauge of manufacturing performance, fell to 49.6 in December, down from October 22 months high of 54%. So, there are so many schemes have been introduced by this government, like these 5 special zones to boost tourism. Also, at the same time, we have to have so many tourism spots where you can get the tourists, because tourism is the biggest market to bring everybody to earn income. And in Odisha, the government have not taken in this Buddhist circuit. A lot of Buddhist circuits are there in Odisha, Radhagiri, Ratnagiri, Khandagiri, Udayagiri. And also, we have a very scenic beauty in my parliamentary constituency, that is Nrsinghanath, where you have natural beauty, tribal lives, we have monuments, we have natural herbs, medicinal herbs, that can be developed and included in the tourist map to make the area developed. And finally, I want to request the Union government that the budget this year was expected to be full of reforms given the demonetization exercise last month. Instead, gave mixed signals with a sharp increase allocation to social welfare schemes and a minimal increase in education and health spending. Also, we have neglected the education sector and health sector, because education now is a big challenge for our country. Not a single university in our country comes under 200 top universities in the world. So, the sharp cut on education, and especially on Minister of HRD, it should be increased, and we have to focus on education. And for the overall development of our country, we have to see and assess how we can develop the farm sectors, the on-way sectors, and a lot of welfare schemes has been taken by our state government. What our leader Bhakti TV was just telling, like the Vanitha scheme, the Hahar scheme, for the farmers, for the masons, for the organized laborers. Those schemes, if we get some more funds from the Government of India, we can develop a lot. And again, I thank you, sir, for giving me the opportunity to speak on the Union Budget 2017-18. Thank you.
Shri Jaidev Kalaji.
Thank you, sir, for giving me